You've got Harry, who has created this world of delusion now around the fact that the media was conspiring with the institution and senior members of the royal family to somehow force Harry and Meghan out. When actually, Tom, I know for a fact, and you know for a fact, that Harry and Meghan were doing exactly the same thing with favoured journalists when they were in the royal family.
But even worse than that, Dan, we know they're doing it now too. And what is really so shocking about this attack on the media is that Harry never actually names anybody who has denounced him, who has fed the press. All I know is when I wrote my book, which is very revelatory, as you know, about Meghan and Harry, I got absolutely no help from the palace whatsoever, on the contrary. And they keep on making these broad allegations without names, without incidents, without examples, no evidence at all.
Things haven't been so marvellous over in Montecito.
It's another weird week on planet Sussex, where the gruesome twosomes' extraordinary lives get stranger by the day. Watching this tawdry real-life soap opera in all its lack of glory is becoming an almost painful experience.
Look at their child and, want the staff to constantly feed them. She doesn't want anything to do with her own children. They are props in this whole PR game that she is playing to make her look like a loving mother. She is nothing to be admired. Her true self is nasty.
They have created the stories and the speculation and the questioning about the origin of both children. I wasn't born yesterday, and I know that 2 and 2 make 4. They don't make 22.
So here's the thing. Prince Harry is in full-blown panic mode. And no, this isn't your standard tabloid drama. This time, Tom Bower, the ruthless royal biographer who has a history of ripping open Buckingham's darkest closets, has dropped a bombshell so big it could rewrite the monarchy's bloodline itself. According to Bower, the mystery surrounding little Archie and sweet Lilibet might not be what we were all led to believe. We're talking surrogacy whispers, shady secrecy, and shocking biological questions. The kind of rumors that send PR teams scrambling and royals hiding behind palace gates.
How the whole thing is unraveling.
And yet they don't produce any evidence.
None at all.
And for Harry, this isn't just embarrassing, it's catastrophic. The once beloved soldier prince, Diana's brave son, now looks like either a clueless fool or worse, a co-conspirator in one of the greatest royal deceptions of all time. But that wasn't the whole story. To understand why this is shaking Britain to its core, you have to know who Tom Bower is. This man isn't some gossip blogger in his pajamas. He's the fearless royal expert in print. Every time he puts pen to paper, palaces tremble. His books have shredded reputations, exposed lies, and forced royals into hiding.
I choose people who don't want to be written about, on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
And this isn't the first time whispers about Meghan and Harry's kids have surfaced. Oh no, those whispers have been circling like vultures for years. Remember Meghan's strangely perfect baby bump photos? The staged, almost robotic pregnancy appearances that critics swore looked too polished to be real? Remember the palace's refusal to clear up even the simplest questions about birth certificates and timelines?
All description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated.
Well, people noticed, people whispered, but it was always just speculation, until Bower. Because this time, he didn't just hint. He detonated the scandal with devastating new claims. He lit the match, and the explosion is still echoing around the world. And just when people thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. The public is no longer whispering in hushed tones. They're screaming. From tabloids to talk shows, from Twitter threads to TikTok memes, the same words are plastered everywhere. DNA test.
Easily squash this, and they don't. What's odd to me is this is it's popular theory that goes, and the bump, the moving, all this stuff.
The pressure is suffocating. Harry, once celebrated as Diana's legacy, is now mocked as either Meghan's clueless puppet or her willing accomplice in an elaborate deception. Imagine going from brave soldier prince to the guy who can't prove his own kids are his. That's the fall we're witnessing in real time.
A 40-year-old man-child lost in Montecito, ludicrously sensitive to criticism.
Damn! And it cuts deeper than PR, because this isn't just about parenting. This is about succession, legitimacy, and the monarchy itself. If Archie and Lilibet's origins aren't what we've been told, then what does that mean for the royal line? Critics warn, This is bigger than a Netflix flop or a Spotify embarrassment. This is a potential constitutional earthquake. But the scandal didn't stop there. Oh no, the rumors took a devastating new turn. Because according to some insiders, this isn't just about surrogacy. The whispers are far darker, that outside donors or third parties may have played a role in the conception of Archie and Lilibet. Let that sink in.
That's their problem. They're stuck now. But, you know, the truth is about them that the only way I can conceive of Harry getting out of it now is if
even a sliver of that is true, it doesn't just complicate the fairy tale, it obliterates it. The love story Meghan has curated like a Hollywood script collapses instantly. The world starts asking, are these children even biologically tied to Harry? Do they even belong in the line of succession? Harry built his post-royal identity around being a proud father. He clung to that role as his reputation crumbled. But now, that identity is under siege. The very thing he used as a shield might become the weapon that destroys him. And who's being painted as the mastermind? Meghan. Critics say she micromanaged every announcement, staged every photo, controlled every narrative. They call her the architect of secrecy, scripting this saga like one of her Netflix dramas.
Alternatively, charming, spoiled, badly educated, simple-minded and demanding, and that previous girlfriend said he lacked class, was unromantic, unserious, short-tempered, imperious. What on earth did Meghan see in that then?
She saw someone who's needy. She saw
Right.
somebody
She could fix.
Who she could use and who could serve her purposes. And to be fair, I think Harry saw the same in her. He was looking for someone who, despite all those minuses, wanted him, and she did want him because she then was promoted from an unknown actress into a global star. So they served each other.
But if Meghan's pulling the strings, where does that leave Harry? Answer: weak, foolish, or complicit. None of those are a good look for a man who once called himself a rebel prince, and the fallout is savage.
Prince Harry, this is probably one of the worst few months of his life.
Yeah, you're absolutely.
Falling out with Queen Elizabeth II, I mean, that's pretty bad for Meghan.
I mean, imagine if this came out a few years ago. People would have been like, oh, you know, this is a planted story or whatever. But one thing we've noticed is a bit of a thread of commonality. So the whole, with Prince Harry being too in love, we know that King Charles said something about him being whipped.
Holy shit. He said what?
Inside Montecito, insiders whisper that Harry is unraveling at the seams. He's pacing the halls, ranting, obsessively checking news articles, and lashing out at staff. The mental health prince now looks like a man who can't even handle his own reality. Meanwhile, Meghan, cool as ice. While Harry panics, she's sharpening her legal knives, talking about exposing letters, lawsuit warnings. The classic Hollywood power move: intimidate the press, silence the critics. But here's the kicker. Lawsuits mean depositions, discovery, and evidence. And if this ever made it to court, the Sussexes could face questions they've spent years dodging. Meghan's strategy might not bury the rumors. It could expose them in the harshest way possible. And in that dynamic, the picture is brutal. Harry, fragile, paranoid, powerless. Meghan, manipulative, strategic, icy.
We know now in hindsight that Meghan never really intended to stay. Her guest list to her wedding showed her real ambition was to be a star in California, and Harry's friends were excluded from the guest list in the evening from the dinner.
Together, they look less like a power couple and more like a disaster waiting to implode. But the fallout didn't just stop at their California mansion, it spread all the way back to the palace. Observers have noticed something odd for years, and now it's impossible to ignore. The royal family has always paraded George, Charlotte, and Louis around with senior royals. Birthday photos, balcony appearances, Easter Sunday walks. But Archie and Lilibet, almost never. To critics, that's not coincidence. That's strategy. They argue the palace may already harbor doubts, quietly keeping its distance to shield itself from future fallout. Because if Bauer's whispers are true, the last thing the firm wants is to be tied too closely to a scandal that questions the very bloodline of the monarchy.
When Archie was born, Meghan didn't want to serve up Archie on a platter.
Yeah.
For us, the media and the public. Is she going against that mantra now by putting her children out on Instagram and using them as much as she possibly can in promotion for As Ever and promotion for all her stuff? I mean, she's going against that line.
The front page of the As Ever website didn't have like Meghan and Lilibet running across the lawn, but it was taken from a certain angle and from a distance where you couldn't see their faces. So, look, yeah, and again, I suppose we can go back to the video in the Labour ward here. Again, you can make an argument for privacy, and I don't think women should be forced to stand there with their baby hours after, giving birth. And that clearly was a big issue for Meghan at the time, but equally then 4 years later deciding to share what is a very private moment for a couple, the birth of a child. It kind of contradicts with her earlier assertions about privacy.
And the public is echoing the palace coldness. If you've got nothing to hide, they say, prove it. One DNA test and it's over. But instead of clarity, there's silence. And silence only makes the rumors grow louder. And this is where things get brutal. If the DNA questions linger, Harry's credibility collapses completely. Meghan's carefully curated image of strength and motherhood shattered forever. And worst of all, the children, dragged into humiliation they never asked for. Questions about their bloodline could stain them for life, following them everywhere. It's the kind of scandal that doesn't just fade after a few headlines. It stays, it scars, it defines. But the most devastating twist of all is yet to come.
You can only feel sorry for a starry-eyed couple who fled to America with well-meaning plans to save the poor and the vulnerable, but now increasingly look as if they need to be saved from themselves.
The thing is that both of them, having posed as the victim for so long, are really the aggressors.
Here's the brutal reality. This scandal will not fade. Scandals about affairs, money, or even Netflix deals, those come and go. But questions about bloodlines never disappear. They linger for generations. One DNA test could silence everything in an instant, but every day of silence fuels suspicion. Every refusal makes Harry look weaker, more panicked, more like a man who's lost control of his own truth. And so, we're left with the ultimate question. Should Meghan and Harry finally face the truth, or will they hide behind silence, even if that silence reeks of guilt? Because make no mistake, Tom Bower didn't just drop a rumor. He ripped open the Sussexes' most guarded secret. And unless Harry and Meghan come clean, this won't just be a chapter in their story. This will define their legacy forever. Scandals fade, but questions of royal bloodlines, they last forever.
The stories and the speculation and the questioning about the origin of both children.
The future of Sussex I think, is pretty grim. I think that they're on a permanent decline. Whenever they need money, whenever they need publicity to stoke their reputation, they'll drop another little bomb. I mean, we're still waiting, of course, for Meghan's own autobiography, which I'm sure she is penning. She is a good writer, and it'll be filled with vitriol and filled with lies. I mean, she will not tell the truth because she wants sensational headlines. That is the ultimate weapon she can deploy. When Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. And obviously I spoke to her father, who loves her still very much, and said, in the end, whatever she is, she's still my daughter.
Now, one thing about Meghan Markle right now is that she's getting very desperate in light of Hollywood, the film industry, and everything to do with what's wrong with Hollywood right now. They are beginning to reject her outright. A lot of studios want nothing to do with Meghan Markle ever again, or if at all. And it only starts from there, because now there's a recent discovery going on with Meghan Markle that is they're actually screaming desperation, and it really just goes to show you exactly what's been going on in Meghan Markle's mind.
So here we are, the Sussex fairy tale cracking at its most fragile point. Not at Netflix, not at Spotify, not even at Buckingham Palace, but in the bloodline itself. Tom Bower didn't just toss out gossip. He lit a fuse under the very foundation Meghan and Harry have built their brand on. And now, every second of silence, every lawsuit talk, every carefully staged smile only makes the whispers louder. Because scandals fade, but questions of bloodline, those don't go away. They linger, they stain, they define. Harry can call himself a husband, a father, a prince all he wants, but until the truth comes out, there will always be that one question echoing in the background. What are they hiding? And that's the dagger, isn't it? The scandal Meghan and Harry can't spin, can't sue, can't Netflix their way out of. The kind of story that lives forever in the shadows of royal history. What do you think? Should Meghan and Harry finally face the truth and put the DNA rumors to rest once and for all? Or will their silence only prove the critics right? And if you've made it this far into the madness, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next royal bombshell we uncover here. But most importantly, I want to hear from you. Should Meghan and Harry finally prove the truth once and for all, or will their silence just make the whispers louder? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be watching to see where you stand. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed my content, feel free to check out some of my other videos on the top of the screen. Until next time, stay tuned, stay safe, and stay informed. only on Tea Time with Tina.